Good morning, happy Friday, and welcome to the month of November. Actually, let me move this side a little bit. There we go. Oh, great. Now I just got a little. Sorry, whenever I set up this. There we go. Now I'm too far the other way. Okay. Not necessarily a great morning. So, I have a lot to talk about today, so let's get to my low, my high, my act of kindness. I would say that my low is just that yesterday had to end. Because I was very happy on this Halloween. I'll say that much. And it was great. I just wish it didn't have to end. But it did. It's now the first day of November, and so I need to talk about the month of October in retrospective. But before I do, I absolutely need to talk about my yesterday's episode of Hot Ones. So I will quickly rapid fire that. Actually, Hot Ones was also part of my high yesterday, since Jimmy Fallon was on there. And what was my act of kindness? My act of kindness was, because yesterday I went trick-or-treating, right? Which is one of the main reasons why yesterday was so great. And it was basically helping my friends watch their kids trick-or-treat. Which, I mean, listen, I know Halloween trick-or-treating is all in good fun, but stuff can still happen to kids. That's bad. I mean, they can probably like trip and fall and get hurt and stuff. You gotta make sure that they're safe, you know? So, that's what I did. It was a wonderful day yesterday. To my friends who are watching this, thank you for having me. Actually, just thank you in general for everything you've done. You know, I really couldn't thank you enough for your kindness. So, again, thank you. And it's funny, after my reunion at Trinity Poly, I could have told you that 2024 could have ended, and I would have said it was a great year. But there was still so much left in this year, so much left in 2024 to get through, or to get to, not get through, get to. And yesterday was definitely one of those days. But again, I'll get in more of that when I talk about October retrospective. So, Jimmy Fallon was on Hot Ones. There was a lot of SNL related questions he asked. But foremost, Jimmy Fallon's on Hot Ones to promote his new holiday album called Holiday Seasonings. And Sean first asked him, what are the hallmarks of a good holiday song? And I loved his answer, Jimmy Fallon's answer, when he said, you don't really need to think about it too much. Like, I mean, yeah, there should be a lot of like ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. But at the end of the day, really any song during the year, you should hear it and it just makes you happy. I mean, I know that answer sounds really simple, but that's a lot more profound than most people would ever give it credit for. And I loved it. He talked about how he could do impressions of Jerry Seinfeld and John Travolta. He does a mean Adam Sandler impression. Oh my God. Like, that's how he got the job at SNL, because he could do Adam Sandler's impression. I mean, I'm working on a few impressions myself, but none of them would ever get me on SNL. Maybe someday I'll do a video just doing impressions. That'd be fun, right? He talked about how, of the time where after he lost a trivia game, he had Frank's Red Hot poured on him, and that stuff actually burns. It was sort of like a revelation of, like, what did he wish he knew going in? And basically that was his way of saying, I wish I knew that stuff like that was going to happen. And it did. He talked about how he became friends with Derek Jeter when Derek Jeter visited SNL. Like, this is like before Derek Jeter became the Derek Jeter that we all knew him as. Like, he invited Jimmy Fallon out to his apartment on, like, the 395th out of 400 floors. Like, it's overlooking the clouds and stuff like that. That's awesome. Like, good Lord. That's incredible. I mean, no tower really is that tall. Jimmy Fallon was just being, he was sort of exaggerating how high. But the point is, like, a professional athlete likes you and invites them into their home. Like, you don't take that stuff lightly. Speaking of SNL, another SNL question. Basically, they talked about Justin Timberlake being on SNL, specifically when him and Jimmy Fallon did the Bee Gees, that one sketch in SNL. He also talked about what the perfect SNL sketch is, which he brought up Cowbell as well as Debbie Downer. His pinch me I must be dreaming musical moment was doing push-ups next to Bruce Springsteen because they made Bruce Springsteen dress up as him in the 70s and Jimmy Fallon dressed up as Bruce Springsteen in the 80s. And Bruce Springsteen's manager was had tears in his eyes because it looks like he looked like Bruce Springsteen looked like when he did on the Born to Run album, which is a great album, by the way. Bruce Springsteen's a great musician. I mean, I like Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen's awesome. He'd make for a pretty good Hot Ones guest. They talked, because here's the thing. Jimmy Fallon said we've done Hot Ones before, but on his show. And when he got to the bomb, they talked about how when Selena Gomez did Hot Ones with Jimmy Fallon on his show. I'm not going to get into it here. You just watch the episode for Jimmy Fallon to tell you himself, but Selena Gomez wouldn't speak to him for 3 years. That's how serious it was. For the ninth wing, honestly, several of these questions were just, Sean and Jimmy just shooting ski. And nowhere was it better represented than the ninth wing when they talked about dressing up as Sean Evans for Halloween. Which, it is the season. And then for the last day, Sean asked him, what's a showbiz nightmare? What's the one thing you don't want to see as a game show, as a show, not a game show, a television show host? And Jimmy Fallon says just deafening silence or crying on camera. But the biggest one of all would be giving up in front of the American public. Listen, first I like Jimmy Fallon, so feel free to take what I say as a grain of salt. But whether or not you like Jimmy Fallon, you gotta admit he's dedicated to his work. And that alone is worth watching this episode for. Honestly, this was a great episode. I loved it. Honestly, between that and trick-or-treating yesterday, it was about as perfect of a way to end the month of October as possible. Which segues into the real meat and potatoes of this video. Oh yeah, if I was talking about Hot Ones was the appetizer of meat and potatoes, this is the real meat and potatoes. Yeah, so what do you want for your side? More meat and potatoes. Anyway, so October of 2024. Well, after yesterday, I was pretty much going to say this after the party I went to last Saturday night. But I can now say this is the best 15 months of my life. And October genuinely, expressed that. Or it made it so. But I will admit, it actually wasn't easy. If you recall earlier this month, I really was feeling rather melancholy. And here's the thing. I've said this before, and I will be talking about this more in December. But I actually suffer from depression. Not sheer crippling depression. More like my emotions really can get revved up if the times are just basically wrong place, wrong time scenarios. if that makes sense. With that in mind, because here's the thing, yeah, I have depression, but the type of depression I really experience is seasonal depression. Specifically, only like when summer officially ends and we stop going to the lake. So, in some ways, yeah, I still miss going to Keep the Lake. I mean, I still do, but I don't feel as depressed at this point. And normally, that was because, growing up, after no longer going to Lake, we had school. And I'm not the biggest fan of school. And that's why I'm glad I'm never going back. I don't miss that at all. But some people don't, feel that way. I mean, some people like school, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I literally have a video dedicated to, each year I do a video dedicated to the first day of school and advice I have. I did that back in September. With October, though, I definitely was feeling melancholy and depressed. But it's sort of taken on a new form in the realm of relationship problems. By which I mean, basically I was sad because I don't have a girlfriend. I mean, look, I've said this once, I've said this several times in the past. Having a girlfriend would never be the answer to all my problems. Like, being with that special someone, as wonderful as it is, it's never the answer to everyone's problems. But, for me, and keep in mind, I know this, I understand that, I respect that. But for me, things can really only manage to go up from where I am. And it's not like I'm not hopeful or anything. And yeah, I know people told me I have a lot to offer. I'm good looking. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I kind of alluded to this back when I talked about Ali Wong's special, Single Lady, the other day. But it's one thing to, let's say for the sake of argument, that I do have a lot to offer. And I am a nice guy, and, there are people in my life who do care about me. And I appreciate that. But without that person in my life to share that with, it almost makes it, worth less than what it ought to be. And don't get me wrong, again, especially in the last 15 months, I've made huge strides in surrounding myself and being affiliated with people who lift me up rather than bring me down. And you guys know who you are, and I appreciate that. And if nothing else, if I learned anything back in September, is that there's more than one place I could ever call home if I needed to do that. I mean, I have Trinity Palm. I really couldn't stay up at Keep the Lake, but I could always visit if I needed just a break to get away from everything. And, if I need to see my family, they're always there. But if I know I have friends who wish to see me, I'll definitely go see them. So, I'm aware I have a lot going on for me. And, again, for those of you who've shown support over the years on this, I really couldn't thank you enough for such kindness. I just wish I had a girlfriend to share it with, is all. That's it. I mean, if you recall, when I talked about Ali Wong's special, I definitely got a little bit heated. And I will say this again. Let's say for the sake of argument that there's some guy out there who, well actually, let me say for the sake of argument that there's one girl that I do like who chooses another guy over me. And the guy in question is much more successful than I am, is better looking than I am, has a big house, a fancy car, and on top of all that, he's a nice person overall. You know what? I get that. You're never going to see me on People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive cover. So, don't worry about that. What really bothers me is if a girl I like chooses another guy over me, and the guy in question is not nearly as good looking as I am, not as nice of a person as I am, or both. Most recently, the guy in question was old enough to be your dad, which, I don't want to get into that here. The point is, throughout the month of October, I really was starting to get depressed, and with no school, something needed to, be like a lightning rod, and I guess that's not a good analogy. I can't think of a better one. But I sort of let the idea of not having a girlfriend really get to me. And yeah. By the way, this isn't a personal ad or anything. I mean, listen. If for whatever reason a girl saw this video or any of the videos I ever done and sought me out, and it happened to be a girl that I did like, no one would be more surprised or happy than I would. On the flip side, no one would fight harder for that relationship to work than I would. Hey, listen, I may have never had a girlfriend before, except for those 3 weeks in my senior year of high school, but I do know that you can't have you can't have any relationship at all, whether it's for romance or just a friendship in general. You can't have that without a foundation of trust and respect. And believe me, I do believe that. I understand that and I respect that. I've just never been able to put it to practice before. Chances are I could probably say this and completely screw up at it. But I wouldn't know unless it happens. So, honestly, the month of October was just trying to navigate life through that kind of melancholy, depression stuff. But in getting through that, life did get better. I mean, it made the great moments that happened in October so much more worthwhile than otherwise. I mean, Horseheads football is doing great. I'm actually going to be seeing a game tonight. But in fact, October pretty much started with Horseheads beating Elmira. And then they beat Corny a week later. That was awesome. And I got to go to Chris Diamond Brewing Company's Pumpkin Fest. That was a lot of fun. I finally got to go to the Valley Inn to watch the Bills game. And speaking of the Bills, the party I went to on Saturday, that was nothing but Bills fans there. And my first trunk or treat, that was awesome. And actually my sticker's on my refrigerator, but I voted already. I early voted. I wasn't expecting to do that at all. I mean, I was going to vote, just not in the month of October, but I did. And it all ended with, Halloween, which, you know what, I'll say this. If for whatever reason you did have a bad month of October, I hope Halloween at least sort of ended on a high note for you. Because honestly, that's kind of what Halloween did for me. I mean, Halloween was in no way a bad month, not at all. Again, anytime I felt melancholy or depressed, that was a me thing. I mean, again, I have a girlfriend. That is a me problem. That has nothing to do with, everything else. But me problems, for the most part, I can tend to ignore. Although, again the season. But it was just the fact that it happened, after no longer going to Cuca Lake. I think that's kind of where things got really bad. But take that out, October was just a great month. It was. And after last night, I can genuinely tell you it's been the greatest 15 months of my life. Filled with fun, adventures, good food, and surrounded by the people in your life who love you the most. Family and friends alike. I said after I got back from my Trinity Polling reunion that the 2024 could have ended, and I would have said it was a great year. But with stuff like what happened in October, I'm glad there's still more to go. And technically there still is more to go. I mean, think about it. I mean, I have so many birthdays. Like, my twin nephews are going to turn 5. Both my mom and my sister-in-law have birthdays as well. Veterans Day, Thanksgiving. There's a lot to look forward to. Not to mention, I got to do the State of My Being address in a couple of days. Which, that's going to be a lot. If anything, this is a warm-up for the State of My Being address. So, on the whole, I don't think I could have ended October any better than yesterday. And the final thing I did in October before the day ended for me was I took time to listen to the Monster Mash. I mean, listen, it's Halloween. What's a better Halloween song than the Monster Mash? So, yeah. I'm doing pretty good. And I can't wait for whatever November brings. I mean, Horseheads plays against Union Endicott tonight. I'm excited for that. I can't wait for that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But we'll take each day as it comes. Because with less than 2 months before this year is over, I get the feeling I will be saying the best 17 months of my life by the time this year is over. But only time will tell. I hope you all like this video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow on social media. As always, I'm very home this video for you guys watching the show. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. I forgot to say happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. And happy November 1st. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk, channels, we're here to lend you back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.